We are live on YouTube and Facebook,
And Instagram.
and we're live on Instagram. I was gonna put my shirt on before the live started, and Crystal was like, "No, Robert, I'd like to get the shirt off." So
It's
here
not
I am.
exactly how it went down.
Here I am, just talking to y'all with my shirt off because I have to do what my wife wants me to do. You know, she likes me with my shirt off, so I don't wear a shirt. Isn't that right, baby?
Okay.
Is that your shirt off too, Reggie?
No.
How about you, babe?
No, I'm
No,
good.
you good? All right. I will put a shirt on though, so you hold it for a second. We're going to talk about satiety today. Satiety, like satiety per calorie, or no?
No. We're stuck on that.
Well, what kind of satiety are we talking about here?
Our opinions on eating to satiety.
Our opinions on eating to satiety.
That was the end of the discussion last week, and so I thought that'd be a good thing to talk
Greg's
about.
in the building. I definitely got to put my shirt on now. He's leaner than me.
Just thought it would be a good thing to talk about our opinions of to get started for this week.
Do you want to start or you may start?
I can start.
All right.
That guy. So, my opinions, I should say, are this on eating to satiety. Would be that I think that that's totally fine for some people. I think that some people can do that. I think people who have been tracking for long enough can kind of guesstimate how much food they're getting in, things like that. But I think the majority of people who try to eat to satiety are chronically under eating, and or have an eating disorder where they're chronically overeating. These are the people that Robert and I usually work with, and they're like, "Well, I was just trying to like eat intuitively and eat until I was full or whatever," and then I actually have them track their food for a week. I'm like, "Just track your food for a week and just see how much food you're eating," and they're eating 900 calories a day. But I'm full. But I'm full. I don't need to eat anymore. Well, when you're eating 900 calories and you're feeling full, your metabolism has downregulated to where that feels like enough food, but you still have 100 pounds to lose. So you're not doing yourself any favor by doing that. So when people say to eat to satiety, I think that's totally a doable thing. Like I could eat to satiety. Robert could eat to satiety. But there's a huge demographic of people who are not able to do that, and I think that gets a lot of those people hung up because they're trying to eat to satiety or they're trying to intuitively eat and they have no intuition on food. They have no grasp on how much food is a good amount of food because they've been told avoid fats, don't eat red meat, eggs are bad, all of these things. So they're trying to change their diet and be healthier, but then they're also not really sure how much to eat. And so they're kind of just like eating. And a lot of times this ends up with a lot of lean meats and some vegetables, and or trying to do carnivore and just eating a lot more lean meats, or just not getting in enough calories in the first place. And that's just like that is like the hell that I see so many of my new clients come in at, is that they've been, I decided to do carnivore. I really don't eat that many carbs. I'm like, great, that's fantastic. How much are you eating? I have no idea. I've been trying to eat intuitively or eat until I'm satiated. And then I'm like, okay, well, track for a couple days or track for a week. And then they're severely under eating and just like totally jacking themselves up. And then they're like, oh, by the way, I also have Hashimoto's or PCOS or this or that or the other. I've tried every diet under the moon. And it's just like, man, you've been dieting for so long, you have no idea how much food is it like even a good amount to have. So yes, I think that can be a great thing. I think there are certain groups of people that can eat to satiety and do extremely well. But I see a lot of the people who
Tooth monster over here.
Woo, sure do, man, oh man. But I see a lot of the people that doesn't work for, and that has screwed over so much that they have to have a coach or someone to help them navigate how to learn how to eat again. And so that's kind of where I'm at with that. I think, just saying eat intuitively, eat to satiety can be harmful for people who, one, severely overeat and binge, or two, the people who need to learn how to eat more.
Yeah. You want the whole thing? I'll give my spiel. You pretty much covered it all, but basically, like, it's going to be very difficult to eat intuitively to satiety if you're eating a bunch of highly processed, hyper palatable foods too. That's most certainly going to skew your innate hunger signals and natural senses of satiety. So if you want to set yourself up for success from an intuitive eating to satiety standpoint, eat real foods, nutrient-dense foods with ample protein, ample fats, first and foremost. And if you are metabolically deranged, if you have an unhealthy body composition, if you are incredibly too lean or incredibly overweight, that's also going to skew a lot of your signals. So the best candidate for someone to eat intuitively to satiety is someone that has a healthy body composition, hormonal health, metabolic health, and a reasonable body fat percentage. If you've been chronically dieting for too long or drastically overeating, that's going to skew those signals quite a bit. Plus, if you don't know, like Crystal was saying, if you don't have any idea, if you've never tracked before, if you don't know how many grams of protein are in an egg, how many grams of carbs are in an apple, then eating intuitively, if you are not where you want to be compositionally speaking, is kind of shooting yourself in the foot. Like, you need to have that fundamental knowledge first and foremost. Now, if you are where you want to be, if you're healthy, if all your markers are great, then keep doing what you're doing because it's working for you. So that's kind of what I would say on that regard. Let's run through some of these questions.
I got none over here, except for hi, Rigel.
Hey, Rigel. James, what's up, man? How you doing, good sir? Triple G says, greetings, savages. What's going on? I was under eating for almost 4 years.
Oh,
yeah, I just had a client call today, actually, with a client of mine that was chronically under eating. She was eating like oftentimes sub 1,000 calories, and we're doing a reverse diet on her now, and she's put on some body fat. But that honestly kind of comes with the territory of doing a reverse diet.
You have to. Yeah,
because having a healthy amount of body fat is going to help stabilize your leptin and ghrelin levels as well. I always overeat if I don't track, says Joe. Yeah. I do initially, like if I'm coming out of a prep, then I would definitely overeat. But then after enough time has passed and after I've reached a certain body fat percentage, like right now, for instance, I'm not really keen to overeat naturally because I get full pretty easily.
Yeah, I'm definitely an overeater too. Like, I won't track, and then all of a sudden Robert's like, you should track, and I'm like, I'm eating 3,200 calories.
Yeah. My mom finally agreed to ask my dad's cardiologist about exogenous ketones for my dad, who has rapidly declining Alzheimer's, and he just turned only 80. What brand do you use and trust?
Ooh, that's a tough
one. So for exogenous ketones salts, I like Audacious Nutrition. And for the esters, I would probably recommend Ketone Aid. Has a legitimate ester, not just a 1,3-butanediol, but an actual ester bond. And then there's several different ones, but that one's a good one for sure. Hey, buddy, you want me? Everybody wants me. TM says, your hair looks great, Robert. I don't know if you're being sarcastic or not, but I just got done doing some arms in the gym, and this is my hat hair. So it doesn't look too great. Crystal doesn't like it. You want me? No passing gas over here, buddy.
I'm pretty excited to overeat, Greg says.
Yeah, I bet he is. I bet he is. I'm super stoked to start my prep next week. Feel like Greg's
Robert
got a head start on me.
on Monday. Oh my gosh. Greg's got a head start on you because he's competing before you.
I know. Greg, you want to just stay dieting down for a bit longer, and we'll do another show together. How cool would that be if we competed together? That'd be pretty cool. I'd make it for some good content.
It would be a long prep for Greg.
I know. What else we got? Any other questions? All right, so it's pretty much open table discussion at this point. So we talked about satiety. So hit us with any other questions y'all got. Questions, comments, concerns, any of that stuff. Sky2626 says yes. She's all about it, Greg. We got to do what the people want, Greg. She wants us to compete together. That's what we got to do. Logan ought to compete with me too.
Yeah, sure. Longest peak week ever.
That would be pretty long for sure. Actually, just got off a podcast earlier today with Aaron Orton, who's the guy. He's the promoter of the show that I'm going to do, and he did a prep for like 44 weeks, I think it was.
Whoa.
Pretty long prep.
That's almost a year.
And he planned on doing it a year, but that was when COVID hit. So like,
oh,
it was going to be
that.
a year prep, but then COVID cut it short.
Oh my goodness gracious! Yeah, I remember him. I remember that, like him getting super lean.
What else we got here? We have
you, Aaron, and Lionel all got super lean right before COVID.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I have a question for Crystal. How did you fight pregnancy fatigue to get a workout in?
Oof, you just gotta go in. I know it's so hard. I will say we changed our workout routine or time several times for me. We were working out super early in the morning, and then I was just like, there is no way I'm gonna get in my workout right now. So I just asked Robert, I'm like, hey, can we switch to afternoon workouts? And then later on, it kind of like flipped on me, and I was just more exhausted in the afternoon, so we switched back to morning workouts. And honestly, I think like by the second trimester, I started to feel a lot better, and then kind of going into the third trimester, it started getting like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired. So I really I always kept in the back of my mind that I'm not just doing it for my health, but at this point, I have a baby in my belly, and I'm doing it for his benefit as well. And so that kind of kept me going. I also knew that lifting weights and doing all the exercises that I was doing was also going to help me in labor and delivery as well. So all of that like accumulated in my mind to say like, this is so much better than not doing it. And I kind of just had to remind myself of that. But it doesn't mean you have to go gung-ho every single time. There's definitely days where I took it lighter, or just said, you know what, I'm just going to do band stuff, or I'm just going to stretch today, or, you know, things like that. Like, listen to your body and listen to what it's telling you, but also try to keep your routine as much as you can, because the exercise is going to be so beneficial during that time, and for labor and for delivery, even postpartum. Getting over postpartum, like I had an amazing recovery. I ended up having a C-section, and I had a really amazing recovery. So quick, way less pain than I've ever heard. And I think a lot of that has to do because I stayed physically active and then on top of my diet. That was a long answer, sorry.
It's a good answer though. Serious on the hair, the mohawk type. Yeah, I'm kind of digging the mohawk. I don't know about Crystal though. I don't think she likes it much.
I don't love it.
How do esters differ from other type of ketones? So esters are going to have a much more immediate and profound impact on circulating blood ketones. So like if you're doing a finger prick test, for instance, and you do a ketone salt, let's just say that you're at 0.5 as a baseline. If you do a ketone salt, you'll oftentimes see your ketones go up by maybe 0.5 millimolar. So maybe you'd be at 1 millimolar. If you do an ester and your baseline's at 0.5, you'll see that jump up to 2, 3, sometimes 4 millimolar. So it's going to have a much more prominent impact on ketones.
Ever heard of metabolic typing?
I haven't heard of metabolic typing. Is there like another name for it?
I feel like I definitely have.
Metabolic typing?
Yeah, like type of, like what kind are you?
Like as far as like from an epigenetic standpoint or genetic standpoint, like
that's what I think.
Fast twitch muscle fiber, slow twitch muscle fiber, like from a gene therapy standpoint. You just drool on me, buddy. LOL, good answer. Thank you. That was your pregnancy thing.
Yeah.
Pete G says, on a cut currently, I followed your macro calculator and it is working. How much should I go down in calories and when do I adjust? Do I wait for a stall? I'm at 2,614 calories, 232 fat, 118 protein. So if you're at 118 protein, I'm assuming you're probably in the initial phase of increasing your protein threshold or determining your protein
If
threshold,
you're going
rather.
after a calculator, they may not know to do that.
Yeah, so I put that on the website though. So I would probably just simply increase your fat or decrease your fat rather by 5 to 10 grams a week, and then increase your protein by 5 to 10 grams a week. That's going to result in an overall decrease in total calories until you hit your protein threshold, and then you can start dropping your protein and your fat. But I honestly would probably manipulate them slightly every single week. That way you can kind of keep the momentum going instead of waiting for the plateau to occur.
I haven't learned much about it yet, but it's a part of my functional diagnostic course. Well, you should let us know more about that as you find out more. But I feel like that is something that I've heard a couple of people talk about, but I don't know anything about it, to be real honest.
Aaron just jumped on here. We
I
just got
just
done
saw
talking
that,
about the competition, bro.
Different ways to eat around how you are categorized in your metabolic type. Yes, yeah, that's exactly kind of. I don't know. It's just definitely going to have to depend. I think. I haven't seen enough of it to like really see what they're kind of suggesting, but it's like going off of your blood type. Like I don't think that's a real thing.
Yeah, and
you know?
some of it is like some of it is kind of nebulous, if that makes sense. Like, yeah, we definitely have some epigenetic factors, we have some genetic factors, we have some hereditary factors, we have all kinds of factors, but at the end of the day, we're all human beings. So you would think that, we
What's
should
good
all
for
follow a species appropriate diet.
yeah, and you think like what's good for one person's gut microbiome is not going to be too significantly different for the next person's gut microbiome because we are all still human,
For sure. Hey guys, what's up, brother? How you doing? All right, PG. Okay, thanks, you bet, man. All right, Natalie says, what do you think of a low-fat keto diet to reset leptin? Macros are 1,600 calories, 60% protein, 240 grams of protein or so, at least 180 to 200 grams of protein a day, 22% fat at 45 grams a day, 18% carb at 60 to 75 grams. So, Natalie, I personally would not do that. I don't know what you've done previously, but I'm not really a fan of ultra low fat diets.
45 grams of fat a day.
45 grams of fat a day, which is pretty low.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's like less than I was eating on a high carb diet.
Yeah, so like that's not really giving you much from an energy standpoint. I don't know what your body composition is like, but when it comes to a ketogenic diet, like that's not really a ketogenic diet. I mean, your fat is your lowest gram macronutrient there, so like I wouldn't really consider that a ketogenic diet. You're certainly not optimizing from a ketogenic standpoint when it comes to fat metabolism, things of that nature. So you can most certainly improve leptin and ghrelin levels in homeostasis, but you don't have to go crazy in the extremes to do so. So with that type of macro split, you're not really going to be having a great source of diet or of energy. So I wouldn't really do that personally. I don't know how you feel with that intake, but I would personally feel really fatigued and dragging from an energy standpoint if that was my macros. I'm having a hard time keeping fat that low.
Yeah, I imagine so.
Yeah, that's really low.
That's in everything. I mean, meats and eggs and all of it. Cooking with.
I mean, I never, even when I'm in a cut, I never drop below about 60% of my total calories coming from dietary fat. So fat is always a pretty high macronutrient from a caloric allotment standpoint. So yeah, if you're wanting to optimize from a ketogenic diet standpoint, I would not follow those macros. All right, any other questions we got here, y'all? Throw them our way. I have lots of body fat, but never seem to access it. Yeah, and think about it like this. So I don't know how long you've been doing low carb, keto, any of that nature, any of that stuff. But think about it like this. There is a prominent ideology within the keto low carb space that if you have body fat to lose, simply don't eat much dietary fat. And that sounds really good. It makes intuitive sense, but it's really an oversimplification, because if you are coming from a standard American diet high in carbohydrates and you remove the carbohydrates, that's your energy source. And if you are not yet fat adapted, you may have a whole bunch of body fat, but your body does not really know how to tap into it yet. And it will eventually, but you're not really doing yourself any favors. I'm personally a fan of replacing the energy lost from the carbs with dietary fat until your body acclimates to that as the new fuel supply, the new source of energy, and then it's going to be more efficient at tapping into your stored body fat if it becomes efficient at using your dietary fat initially. So that's what I would recommend. Start with the higher fat. 8 years, 8 years ish low carb keto. Yeah, and I don't know how. I mean, 8 years is a long time, but I don't know how strict you got with your keto during that time. I don't know how deeply adapted you got.
Total carbs, net carbs, how protein and fat
Yeah.
have been.
I mean, 60 to 75 grams of carbs is still quite a bit. So I don't know if that's higher than it normally is during that 8 year span, if that's pretty average. Pete says, I struggle because my body almost shuts down fat loss when I'm dropping calories or protein sparing modified fast or fasting. I'm stuck at 25% roughly. I've been carnivore for 2 years, but I am recovering type 2 diabetes, down 90 pounds total. Well, congrats on being down 90 pounds. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm not a fan of protein sparing modified fast. I'm not really a fan of any diet that is an extreme crash, non-sustainable diet. Like, you want to be able to build your diet around your lifestyle, and just simply adhering to that over time consistently is going to be what leads to the desired composition. So like protein sparing modified fast, crazy low dietary fat, crazy high protein, anything in the extremes is not really sustainable. And some people hear me say that and like, well, you don't have carbs and that's not sustainable. But carbs, as we all know, aren't an essential nutrient. So you can be in the complete absence of that, and that's not really going to be doing yourself any disservice. What's up, Keto Mary? How you doing? I'm excited to see you at KetoCon. Hopefully all y'all are going to KetoCon, by the way. We're going to be there. I'll be speaking. We'll have a booth. Rigel will be there. He's the star of the show, so it should be good. Any other questions, y'all? Throw them at us. I'd be curious, Pete, when you do those protein sparing modified fasts, et cetera, do you maintain training intensity and load during those times, or do you titrate that up, titrate that down? I'd be curious to know what your training is like when you're going through these different types of diets. Hey guys, I'm on phase 2 of your book during doing the protein threshold. Very cool.
Nice.
Let us know how you like it. Doing good. Looking forward to seeing you all.
Yeah,
it'll be here before you know it. I'm going, says Natalie, and she can't wait to see everyone.
Nice.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. This is gonna be a pretty big year for KetoCon, I think. Like last year was the first year they'd had it back since the pandemic, and a lot of people were still on the fence about it. But this year, I feel like the time of year is better. It's gonna be a little cooler outside. Should be a pretty good turnout all around. I'll be at KetoCon too. Awesome. Very cool. What else we got, yo? Any other questions? We could just call. We needed a topic for next week, though, y'all. Because
yeah, we definitely need a topic. So actually, what I was kind of thinking is of doing like a question box over on the Live Savage, and having people just share what they would like us to talk about, and then making a list to honestly get us through the rest of the year. And just like having a list that like we could just pick out of one for each week that we're going to be on here, because I feel like that's the best way, that we're not just like randomly thinking of something. It's like things that people actually want to hear about. You can submit whatever you want to submit, and we can like keep it going too. Like every week I can just say like, what do you guys want us to talk about?
Where is KetoCon this year? It is
Austin.
at the Palmer Event Center in Austin. You should definitely go there.
Every year it's in well, every year so far it's been in Austin, Texas, at the same event center. It's
been unreasonably warm here lately, so hopefully it's not going to be too hot. Yeah, I'm hoping so as well.
Yeah.
I signed up for the DEXA scan at KetoCon. I've got a DEXA appointment at KetoCon too. I did too. And Crystal does too. So we're all getting Dexes at KetoCon. I'm actually gonna get a Dexa in Little Rock probably next week or so too. Just so I can have that as well. All right. Pete says I work out 3 days a week and hit the gym hard for 45 minutes. I take short breaks. I lift weights, but no cardio, which I may need to increase. Yeah, I like to kind of think of cardio and calories as having inverse relationships. So as my body starts to plateau from the nutritional manipulations, I start to gradually increase cardio. So you could make that a variable that you're manipulating. My body comp overall has increased greatly. I am just trying to lose the belly for vanity reasons. And the belly is always the last to go. Like that's always the last to lean out. And it's always the first to gain the body fat back when you start increasing calories. So tricky there.
All right. All right. Doing keto by staying under 20 total carbs and not measuring with devices is a topic.
And not measuring with devices.
All right, I like it. Let me take a screenshot here. There we go. Okay. How much is I'm going to guess, Dexa at KetoCon?
I don't know. How much is the Dexa at KetoCon, Greg? Do you remember how much you paid for that? I don't remember. I had the owner on my podcast, and he gave me some vouchers, so that's kind of how I got into it, but I don't know how much it costs. I don't think it's unreasonable, though.
Greg, if you're still on here, you should shoot us over how much that costs.
I want to say it was like $60 or something like that, but they may be wrong.
I don't remember how much it was.
It was not more than 100, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
But
how many? Was there a lot of slots open when you looked?
I think so. I think so.
Greg says I think maybe $49.
Yeah,
so somewhere between 50 and 100, I'd say. Probably on the low, more on the 50%. Check your email from KetoCon. Oh, all right. Well, it's on there for KetoCon. But if that is something that you're wanting to do, if it is on the email for KetoCon, I would definitely try to sign up for that early because I think last year they sold out of spots pretty quickly.
Dexa scan is $49, I think. Someone was talking about it. You have to schedule a date. Yeah, you definitely have to go on to bodyspec.com and then scroll down to KetoCon's section and schedule it there.
Bye-bye.
All right, ladies and gents, we're going to wrap it up there. We love y'all. We thank y'all for tuning in, and we will talk to you next time, ladies and gents. Toodaloo, ta-ta for now.
See ya.
Much love.